up, Rotogrinders? Welcome to the flagship show here at Rotogrinders.com. I'm Dean78904. If you want to get all technical, that's the daily fantasy handle. Joined today by Grant Neefer. Grant Neefer does not have a case of the Mondays. He's in a good mood, as is always. I like this game, I like this slate, Grant, and I like this week. This week is all like mid 6, 7, 8, 9 game slates. It should be a good one. It's kind of flattening out. Hopefully this is the way it stays. I have not looked beyond this week, but NBA DFS. I feel like it's gonna be a good week for us, Grant.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely way better for DFS. For sports betting, it's kind of nice when there's just a whole bunch of random things going on. I'm trying to place a bet right now.
What are you betting?
An alt total on the what's
Drummond?
it called? The Heat game. Under 217.5. Under 217.5 points.
Why do you like the under, out of curiosity?
It's just a bad line over on MGM at minus 200.
Fair enough. We like to sprinkle in like player props and some bets and all sorts of things. Grant, of course, feature of the video you guys watched right before the show started, scoresandodds.com. Grant, tell the people about SOS if they're not aware.
SOS? SOA, you mean? You dumb, you stupid head. You fudged real bad. It's got a whole bunch of analytics, got RG projections over there, got fantastic projections. Can easily scroll and find the best odds on money lines, totals, spreads, props, all over the place. Plus picks from me and Meansy, and sometimes losing ones from Dean over there. So go check it out.
I'm right here, Grant, and all the sports too, like MMA and UFC, Noto you mentioned as well, STL cards, a lot of golf stuff going on too. But there's always going to be a plethora. I've not checked out the picks yet today. I've not submitted any today because I've been gun shy. I had one bad day and I'm like, oh no, I can't. I had a couple.
I took the last 3 days off. Like I was up in the mountains. I did mostly dry January and then proceeded to get hammered for the last 3 days.
Well, you were at the mountains last night, you said?
I was up in the mountains Thursday, Friday, came back Saturday, and then had a DK event last night or yesterday day watching the games. Great games. Great games. You know what I'm saying?
You're not ready to lock anything as far as the Super Bowl, I imagine. You need a couple weeks to digest the information and break down all the sides.
I mean, we can look at it right now. I mean, I can guarantee that I'll be able to find some positive ROI bets.
We have an 8-game slate. We don't have a ton of time for pleasantries. I don't know. Maybe if we have time, I don't know. I'm not really sure. I was just kind of asking for everything off the dome.
I mean, to be honest. The spread's probably about where it should be. I think I'd take the Bengals slightly.
I'm going to guess. I haven't looked at it. Is it Rams -3?
Rams -4, which I think it should be Rams -3. The under on Cam Akers rushing yards of 58.5 is looking juicy at +110. And Joe Burrow over 10.5 rushing yards is looking pretty good. Pretty good.
All right there, Larry David. We have an 8-gamer. You know what's great about this slate tonight, Grant?
Go on.
No game starts later than 8:00. So it's kind of like a sprint slate. And we should get a ton of information sprinkling on through as well, because we're not going to be sitting around all night waiting for information because, last game is 8:00. We're going to get a ton of stuff on this show. I'm sure there's already a ton of stuff that's out there we're going to kind of dig into. We were talking about a pre-show about Andre Drummond. This is Andre Drummond night. Let's see. JRE and Poku have been recalled from the G League. We talked about that as well as far as OKC. Not the most important information, but I guess they played a game this afternoon. And in theory, we'll see if they're available for tonight. All right. Any general thoughts before we kind of dive in and break it down? It's about, I ran a bunch of optimals before the show started. We got our update at 5:00 as well. So it's pretty.
Are you fading Andre Drummond? Where's Blender to help us argue this?
No, that was a conversation we had months ago, and his salary is distinctly different. There's no chance I'm fading Andre Drummond on DK at 3.7K. It's absurd. The one site that actually
Are you fading him on FanDuel?
He's like 4.4 over there, which, and it's different because, he's the best price and it's the least opportunity cost as far as centers on DK because you can roster 2. You only locked in for 1 on FanDuel, but like you probably shouldn't fade him over there. On Yahoo, you absolutely can fade him where he's $27. Should mention, by the way, tonight on FanDuel, the single entry series, it is back 6 weeks for single entry contest. Play as many times as you want each week. up to 6 times, I believe, in your top 4 combined scores. If you finish in the top 3, I believe. No, you got to finish in the top spot each week to get an entry into the championship on March 23rd for a chance at $10,000. It's just added value. There's single entry contests that are, good over there on FanDuel as is, are now sweetened by the single entry series. I believe this week is the $3 version. Every single week it's a different variety: $3, $5, $10, the 100, the 222, I believe. This one is the $3 version. Go ahead and check that out over there on FanDuel. But without further ado, we're going to keep our eye as far as body parts, who's in and who's out. We're going to keep our eye on that. Absolutely, things will be cracking. Lots of stuff we are monitoring throughout the show. A lot of news has already fallen as well. We're going to be talking a lot of Heat players. Talk about them in a second. But you ready to dive in and break it down game by game here, Grant?
I most certainly am.
Yeah, Memphis, the Grizzlies in Philadelphia, 217.5.
Let's talk about Bane.
I mean, okay. You want to talk about Desmond Bane? You have a major top shot investment in him. You've won a lot of money on him. I bet you're always writing him up in scores and odds. You're
bet the over on his points.
Okay.
How is it still 17.5?
I mean, they're getting healthier for one, I would say, but that's still probably too low.
They're really not changing too much. I mean, I get some of their secondary players, but it's not really going to eat into his usage too much. The guys that eat into his usage are Jackson, Morant, and Brooks. Brooks is still out, so Desmond Bane hit the over on points. In terms of fantasy, I think that he's a viable play at 6.1K. He's not great, but he's a guy that you can bring back and stack him or Morant over on the Memphis side of things. Both of them are pretty solid. Morant, strange enough, isn't popping in RG projections. I'm trying to figure out why. We actually have him projected for the under of 26.5 points. But he's had 30 plus in like 6 straight games. I get that he's been on an absolute tear. I get that he's been shooting lights out. I think his effective field goal percentage is something like 65% over the last 6 games. But the shot volume has been there. It's been 25, I think, or 27 shot attempts per game on average over the last 5 to 6
minutes
games
have been
here.
There.
Yeah, well, the minutes and the shot attempts have been there.
Yeah. Anderson is back. Tyus Jones is questionable. If Jones comes back, I think Morant's minutes take a slight hit, not a major hit, obviously, but he probably doesn't play 38, 39 minutes. He might play 34, 35, which might not sound like a lot, but that matters if you're paying 5 figures. You mentioned Brooks is out. Williams should be available as well, too, for Memphis. On the Philadelphia side, John Morant drives to the basket a ton. There will be no Joel Embiid. He's going to be resting tonight. He's going to be Drummond there instead. Furkan Korkmaz is also questionable for what it's worth. Seth Curry expected to be available with his back. So right out the gate, we talked about Drummond. It's going to be really, really, really hard to not play him on DK. I'm pretty sure I'm just going to hit the lock button. I'm not getting cute here. 3.7K on DK. And again, it's the cheapest price. We're projecting, 28 minutes. And even if that's low, if that's high, if he plays 24, 25, his fantasy points per minute, the price, it's just really, really good. He's the best play on the slate when you consider salary and all that stuff. I guess you're not making a case to play to not play Drummond tonight.
No, don't play 100% Drummond.
Yeah,
special. Like if you fade him or have a lineup without him on FanDuel, it's still a bad decision. But it's not that negative EV. It's still negative EV by a decent amount, but you're just throwing money away if you don't play him over on DK. He's 3.7K. That's just an atrocious price. The guy averages 1.41 fantasy points per minute, I want to say, without Embiid on the floor, which is never really on the floor together. He's going to get a boatload of boards. I already bet the over on his rebounds. It's my favorite prop of the day. I think I made it a 3-unit one over on scores and odds. Over 11.5, it was at plus 100. So if you sign up for scores and odds, you probably got that. Now I think it's at minus 115, minus 120. I also bet the alt overs of 16 plus rebounds and 14 plus rebounds for him. His points prop is not bad either. But Drummond is just an absolute lock. And then it's trying to figure out what other pieces you want to throw in there, because the value in this team is fantastic. I mean, Harris stands out as one of the better mid-tier / upper mid-tier guys on the entire slate. He has a whole bunch of usage. He's going to play a whole bunch of minutes. Have him projected for close to 26 points, I think, on Rotogrinders. I think his player prop is only 21.5. I bet the over on that already. Maxey is playing a boatload of minutes recently, and
we've seen him play close to 40 when Embiid's been out. He just runs the show.
Yeah, he's been playing 40 regardless. Yeah. I mean, he has 3 games over 40 minutes in the last 5 games. And I think one of those might have been overtime. I can't remember. But he's going to go out there and he's just going to play the whole time. He's 6.6K over on DraftKings. That's too cheap of a price tag. He's probably my second favorite option. Harris is third, and then Curry is fourth. Like, if you want to take a shot on anyone else, it kind of depends. Korkmaz just got ruled out, so Niang, Thibault, Bassey are all kind of all right plays. Like, if they fit, it's fine. I think
Bassey's really just going to back up Drummond, right?
Yeah, he should. He probably
they did call Paul Reed too, for what it's worth. Just another body. I don't know how much if he would play at all, but just noting it. But go ahead. I'm going to cut you off. But
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, just they're all fine plays. Like on a different slate, we'd probably be a little bit more intent on waiting for that news that just came out. But this one, it really doesn't make a huge difference. I mean, there's so much value all over the place today that you just have to figure out how many value plays you want from each team, which team to focus on, which guys to focus on. And yeah, I mean, I think I'm mostly just going with Maxey, Harris, Curry, and Drummond. I don't think you need to go with anyone else here on the Philly side.
Firing up the old court IQ. I kicked Embiid off the court. What do we see? A 6.8% usage bump to Tobias Harris, a 5.1% usage bump to Maxey. As far as fantasy points, how does that translate? Per 36 minutes, Harris gets a bump of 6.5 fantasy points per 36. Maxey, a bump over 6. Curry, a 3.8% usage bump, 2.5 fantasy points per 36 as well. I did not kick off Furkan for what it's worth, but just got to get a general idea. Thibault should be thrown on Morant, which, Morant is, indefensible, however you want to say it, but Thibault is known as one of the better defenders in the league. So that's one slight hit on Morant. Also Memphis getting a little bit healthier. It's another reason why. And also you're getting him at a peak price. So I'm not here to say you can't play Morant, but that's one of the reasons why. All that collectively, just kind of the nature of the slate, he's not like a premium piece as far as I'm concerned. But if you want to stack it up, obviously you can play yourself some Morant. Ownership wise, we're looking at 62% for Drummond on DK. That might be too low. That's I'll be over that. You'll be over that. Tobias at 30.
Anything under 100 is too low.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if he was 98%, like you could bet on something goofy happening, like, foul trouble, ejection, injury. Not that you root for that kind of stuff, but like there's a certain number where you're like, well, okay, it's too high. But yeah, I think 62 is too low. I agree with that.
If you want, you could just fade him entirely and then bet the over on his points rebounds prop. And it's like, well, if it goes over, then win. If not, then
what?
The 3.7K. Yeah, he can. Yeah, he can end up with 15 points and still be worth it. Yeah, just play him.
Yeah, I mean, look, you want to get cute. I think there's other places to get cute as far as Drummond, and I guess he's fadeable more so on FanDuel for the reasons we laid out. A little bit more expensive. The opportunity.
Goga just got ruled out.
Who did?
Goga.
That's an interesting one because they are without Sabonis and Turner and now Goga Batadze. And I was going to say Brichette's interesting. Now he's questionable too.
Woo. Yeah, he's still a game time decision.
Yeah.
This slate is a mess.
I'm just trying to think like the possible pivot away from. I thought Goga would be kind of sort of something interesting, but no Goga tonight. We're spending a lot of time in this game, but I think this is one of the more important games in the 8-gamer. FanDuel wise, by the way, as far as ownership, Drummond at 53%, Maxey at 31, Harris at 31, Curry at 17. Then it falls off the table. Thibault's a good FanDuel player, but you generally get him somewhere in the threes. He's 4-4 over there. In theory, he can get like 7 stocks. He can do that. Not a big usage guy. Obviously, he can fall into a couple threes here and there. But, yeah, I don't really love him. All right. Anything else you want to say as far as this Philadelphia-Memphis game?
Nope. Moving on.
New Orleans and Cleveland, more question marks. 209 is the total. Cleveland is a 6-point dog here. The important stuff to note here as far as New Orleans, as we've seen basically for the better part of 5 games now. Ingram is questionable. Valanciunas is questionable. And Josh Hart is questionable. They're 3 main pieces. Again, we will know this stuff, if not on this show, on Crunch Time. Get yourself Crunch Time. If you have RG Premium, you listen to Andy Means and Kevin Roth. Take you guys straight up the lock. Also a GPP specialist on most nights as well. On the Cleveland side, we have Darius Garland, who's questionable with his back. Markkanen still out. If Garland doesn't go, how much is – I meant to look to see how much Rondo was. Okay, Rondo's 3K on DK. So yeah, if Garland doesn't go, you got to figure Rondo plays 25 to 30 minutes or so, and he's still a decent fantasy point per minute player. And there you go. There's no great spends on this slate, which we'll kind of talk about as well too. Like there's no Jokic, there's no Embiid, there's no Harden, there's no LeBron. There are some, of course, plenty. No SGA. We'll talk about him as well too. But yeah, the Cleveland side, I think Allen would benefit if Valanciunas doesn't go. But New Orleans is a lot of if-then stuff, but we've also seen this kind of play out. So there's not necessarily players that are super, super crazy cheap. Hernan Gomez is now up to 5'6". He's certainly smashed that. We've seen him smash that. But yeah, this is kind of if-then. What do you have for me as far as New Orleans?
New Orleans, I mean, if everyone ends up playing, then I'm fully out on everyone. I mean, Valanciunas, you can take a shot on. He can always get some stuff done. If Ingram ends up sitting, then things become a little bit more interesting. I think you can play J-Val at 8K. Like there's a lot of centers that you can end up playing, but he's a guy that will be in play. I think that without Ingram, Graham comes in play. Hart, if he plays, becomes in play. And if Hart doesn't play, Graham is more interesting. Nah is more interesting. Even Alvarado is more interesting. Like it all depends on the three main stars, but Ingram is kind of the main piece that is really going to determine whether anyone's viable. If Ingram ends up playing, then I'm almost out on everyone regardless. I just don't think you really need to go with anyone. So it's more dependent on the Ingram news. And if Ingram's out, boost to Valanciunas, boost to Nah, boost to Graham, boost to Hart. If Hart's out, bigger boost to Graham, bigger boost to Nah. If Valanciunas is out, boost to everyone who's starting. Garrett Temple, if all three of those guys are out, then he can end up going in the starting lineup. He's probably a little bit too cheap at 3.8K, but you just have to wait for that information. If they all end up playing, again, just kind of fade for me. If multiple of them, if Ingram's out, then there are valuable pieces. And if J-Val and Hart are out, it's definitely makes a lot of guys way more viable.
Even if like two are out or three are out, I'm not even certain. Like right now, if they all play, forget it. Like nobody's projected for more than 5% ownership. We currently have them all projected in because you got to take a stand, and it's generally easier to lean in as opposed to lean out. But like, you know, even if we're missing one of these pieces, it's like, I'm just trying to think like who would really skyrocket. Nas 5'2". Like we currently have Hernan Gomez projected out as far as minutes because he's been DNP-CD when Valanciunas has been available. He's been behind. Oh God, I can't think of the other guy's name. Jackson Hayes. And like guys like Herbert Jones is like they're all priced up like the way that it's been going down the last week or so. How about the Cleveland side? I think it's just sort of like again bad matchup too. We should mention like messing up New Orleans and Cleveland just does not a recipe for fantasy points either. We referenced Rondo. He's 4-2 on FanDuel, currently projected for 17 minutes. But again, that would change if Garland is out. We know they're without Rubio and Sexton, obviously, so they're pretty thin as far as the guards. There's is Goodwin on this team? Is he their backup guy? I think that's what it is, right? Yeah, Brendan Goodwin, I guess, would be the guy that would be splitting minutes with Rondo, but that's another wait and see. What do you have as far as Cleveland?
Yeah, I mean, it all kind of depends on the Garland news. If Garland ends up playing, I think that he's a viable tournament option. He should come in fairly low owned. He's been eating up usage at like a 30% clip over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 games. He's been on a little bit of a rough patch over the last 4, not putting up 50, barely putting up 40 in most of those. But prior to that, he was putting up 50 at a pretty consistent clip. So if he ends up playing, even in not a great matchup going up against New Orleans, he's still a guy that I have some interest in tournaments. If Garland's up sitting, then I have to assume that Rondo's in play at 3K. And Love and Mobley and Allen all get a little bit of a boost. All of them become viable plays just because when you have that much of a usage hole, someone's got to pick it up, and it's more likely to be the big guys. And then I think Jetty is an interesting guy. If Garland ends up sitting, they could end up running him a little bit at the point, but more than likely the Rondo being there is probably going to end up taking most of the time there. So it all depends on the Garland news. If he plays, play him. If he doesn't play, then Rondo is a very good, cheap option.
Well, you say if Garland plays, play him. He's a fine play, but he's not like somebody who's like in their main lineup, is he?
No, Garland's more of a GBP. Like he's going to be low owned. He's a guy that can go for 60. It's not the optimal play on the slate, but he's not really heavily owned enough for how good he is and what his potential upside is.
Yeah. If you're running 150, I get it. Yeah, you could sprinkle him in for sure, but like nothing about him otherwise that says it's a.
If you're running one, you could throw him in.
No.
Yes.
9K for Garland? Get out of town.
I mean, he's in the last 9 games. He's paid it off significantly 5 times.
He's a good player, but let's not lose ourselves. And he's not somebody I'm playing him.
He literally went on a streak just before this last little cold streak where he hasn't been shooting the ball good at all. Put up 51, 63, 54, 50.
I like Garland. I just don't think he's an optimal play. And that's kind of what I'm saying.
I didn't say he was an optimal play. I say he's a good tournament play considering his ownership.
He's fine.
Last time you said that, you were poo-pooing SGA who went for 50.
I mean, look, you small sample last. I'm sure I could pull a last time on you too.
Time before that was Desmond Bane when he went for 46 at 6K.
I like Desmond Bane too. You can't, but you don't have the monopoly in the Desmond Bane fan club.
No, but you have said that he's not a good play many times when I say he's
no. I've taken my L on it. I reconsider with new information, new conclusions.
Well, he only shoots 3-pointers. Am I right?
How many times I got to take an L on the same guy? I reconsidered with new information, and I was wrong. I'll take it. Drop the L on me. Hey, do you want to say what up to those y'all watching us on YouTube? Do hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on those notifications. And do join the conversation. If you want to tell me what a big dope I am for not liking Desmond Bane a month and a half ago, Grant's got this elephant memory, man. By all means, let us know in the Rotogrinders Discord channel, rotogrinders.com/Discord, the live stream chat channel. That's where we're at right now. Grant, why'd your camera just get all fuzzy? Do join the conversation there. We're going to have plenty of time for questions later on.
I just entered witness protection.
Well, I mean, we have video footage of you like 12 seconds ago, so it's not gonna. I mean, Sherlock is gonna be all over it. Like, wait, if we just hit
Eli, should I turn my camera off and on, or will that mess stuff up?
I don't know. Ask producer Eli. He'll let you know.
That's why I said Eli.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
Of course, that can happen. Producer,
I don't know why it's an autofocus thing. It's kind of just weird. I don't know why.
You could show off those beautiful eyebrows. You were bragging about having what was the ads that you used pre-show? You have perfect eyebrows.
Yeah. Zubac is out. Batum will play. Bielitsa out.
Oh man, it's Isaiah Jackson on the Indiana side, and it might be a Hartenstein night. Like we talked about Drummond. Isaiah Jackson's power forward eligible. Hartenstein is center eligible only. If Zubac is out, Hartenstein is an awesome fantasy point better player. That's the next game. I don't know how many minutes he can play, but like if he plays like 25 or so, they do have other bodies. Serge Ibaka is lurking as well too, and I want to see what our projection team has. But I think there's a decent chance we get a Hartenstein start. And on the Indiana side, well, let's kind of run down the body parts. It's worth noting, and I talked about this to you pre-show as well. Indiana is
Brandon Ingram ruled out.
Who's this?
Brandon Ingram ruled out.
So the rest are probably coming sprinkling through. Like follow-up question: what about Valanciunas?
Jonas Valanciunas and Josh Hart are game time decisions.
Oh, man,
it feels like the good old days of everyone getting ruled out for COVID a month ago. This has been a weird day.
Well, again, we talked about how it's all the games start before 8:00. Well, whatever, tip off at least 8. I'm using quotes, but 8-ish, right? So we're gonna get a lot of information for sure. 222.5 as far as the Indiana Clipper game. Clippers are 2-point dogs here. And I was telling you this pre-show, this is their 7th or 8th game on the road. This is, I think their 5th game in 7 nights, all of them on the road. And it's a back-to-back as well. So Clippers shenanigans and we've seen them shenanigans throughout the whole season with them. And, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody else gets the bump. Again, that's a 7:00 game. So in theory, we will know. But as far as the other guys that we're monitoring on LA, Batum, you said is in or out? I don't recall.
Batum is in.
Batum in, Zubac out. Okay. Indiana, we got Sabonis, of course, out, which is a big one. Brogdon's out. Turner's out. O'Shea Brissett is questionable, but it seems more likely he's going to be out, according to the report there on the old Twitter. So if Brissett is out and Sabonis is out and Gogo Batadze is out and Miles Turner is out, like count the bigs. There's not a lot of bigs left. So Isaiah Jackson is a person that sounds made up, but this guy is a really, really good.
How does that sound made up? That's an entirely normal name.
It sounds like it's a creative player name. It's like, well, let's play Isaiah Jackson. He was drafted in the 2027 Sims.
Sorry, not everyone has weird names like you, Daniel.
It's not a weird name. I'm saying it just sounds like it's a generic name. So Isaiah Jackson on the season, this is 150 minutes, all we have to work with, but a 21.9% usage rate, which is pretty good, and 1.28 fantasy points per minute. He's 4-1 on DK. And again, we have him currently projected to be starting. On FanDuel, he's 4-7. And on the other side, if Zubac is out, maybe we get ourselves some Hartenstein who would play 15 to 18 minutes or so, give or take.
Serge will start.
Okay, but Serge is not going to play more than like 25 minutes, is he? I don't think. They might split those even.
Yeah, my guess is going to be pretty close to an even split. I wouldn't be surprised if Serge got 26 minutes, but also the Clippers rotation is just infuriating.
A mess.
Yeah, like I can never figure. I make sure that I never bet Clipper props anymore. And then they always lure me in with these darn lines. And of course, I bet Coffee and Morris over yesterday, and neither hit because I should never ever do that. But no, I'm like, even with Zubac out, like I think Hartenstein's the only one I would really take a flyer on over on the Clippers. I mean, Reggie Jackson, can't trust his minutes. Trey Mann is not a bad play. Coffee is probably priced where it should be. Might still have some upside. Morris, if they play him a bunch of minutes, then he'd have some upside. But you just can't trust anyone's minutes right now over on the Clippers. So if you're going to take a shot on someone, it should be Hartenstein. And that's just because they don't have a lot of bigs. He's going to play at least 20 minutes. 3.3K, you're not wasting a ton of salary on him.
The tricky part with him, of course, he's got center only tag. He's and again, there's Andre Drummond. If Andre Drummond was on the thing, he'd be more important, especially on FanDuel. But maybe that could be like a 1v1 pivot. Can Hartenstein outscore Drummond? Sure. Is it likely? Probably not.
Isaiah Jackson expected to start at center on Monday.
There it is, man. It's Isaiah Jackson night, whether you believe he's a real person or not. Hartenstein also, the other key part we're kind of bearing there is fantasy points per minute, 1.18 on DK, which is really solid. 1.26 fantasy points per minute on FanDuel. Is he a power forward? Oh wait, hold on. Is Hartenstein's a power forward on FanDuel? Okay, so that makes him more interesting. I missed that. Center only on DK. Again, you can roster two of those, obviously. And the good thing about Jackson is that he has, I believe, power forward tag.
He does.
Yeah. So this is, he's going to be played, right? 4.1K, drawing the start, solid fantasy point minute player. He's coming off two pretty solid games as well, too. Yeah. It's Isaiah Jackson night? Is that happening?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. You don't have to play him. Like, Drum's the only cheapie you have to play. You have like 50 cheap options today. But Jackson probably grades out as one of the better ones. He's a point per minute player. He should end up seeing, my guess would be 25 plus minutes, maybe 30 minutes. Like, that's just too cheap of a price tag at 4.1K over on DraftKings at 4.2, 4.7 over on FanDuel is probably still too cheap. Yahoo, $12 is too cheap. Like, he's just too cheap. With everyone else out, I'm still trying to figure out who to play. LeVert's probably priced where he should be. Like, the Clippers randomly just tank random outings, so I wouldn't be surprised if this game turned into a blowout. Either way, Indies, as you mentioned before the show, and like the 8th road game in a row.
I mentioned it 3 minutes ago when you weren't listening, apparently.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to you. I'm looking at news. I'm trying to make bets. This is kind of like, I'm probably just going with the big guys just because of the amount of minutes they play and the production they have on a permanent basis.
By the way, Tyus Jones expected to play. And again, this is not me talking down Ja and talking down Bane, but I think it hurts their ceiling a little bit.
I don't know if it hurts Bane that much.
A tick, just a tick.
Yeah,
a tick,
but
a smidge, a pinch.
Still, hit is over. Did we do the prize picks promo yet?
No, not just yet. Do you happen to have one on layaway ready for the people? I'll let them know about prize picks. Sign up for prize picks. Use the promo code Grinders with your very first deposit for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. And I think you had some prize pick selections. I don't know if you want to change them by all means, but Eli's going to throw it up on the screen that you picked at least as of.
No, I still like all of them unless the lines change, which they shouldn't have. Harris over 20.5 points. He's averaging 26 per 36 without Embiid on the floor, so that's just a horrible number. Drummond over 11.5 rebounds. I think RG has him projected for like 14. He averages like 17 per 36 without Embiid on the floor, which is
it's skyrockets.
Yeah, and then Bane over 17.5 points. I mean, he's hitting this at like an 80% clip over the last month. He's hit 2 of the last 3, and one of those he got just to 17 and missed 3 straight layups. I'm still pissed about it. But those are all too low. Throw them in there. Nice little fun game stack.
Anything else to say as far as Clippers, Pacers? Yeah, LeVert, I didn't mean to neglect him, but he's certainly interesting. But I think Jackson's probably the most interesting piece. And I still am okay with Hartenstein coming off the bench. And I don't, how many minutes can they possibly play Ibaka? Because we've seen it multiple times where he starts and he just kind of disappears. He plays, I mean, he's old. What's the most minutes he's played of late? 22, 20. He's played no more than, he played 29 minutes December 3rd. And 26 minutes this, I don't know. I feel like Hartenstein, who also doesn't play a lot of minutes, he's also super handsy as well, assuming he can dodge foul trouble. And also he's just a better fan.
Does foul trouble against Isaiah Jackson? I think he'll be all right.
Yeah, well, I mean, he'll foul anybody. He doesn't take discretion, no matter who he's playing against. He's just happy to smack him. But he could play 25 or so minutes at 3.3K. I'm curious what our projection team's going to drop on him. But in my head, both those are the two key pieces in this game. Anything else, or shall we move on?
Moving on.
I don't really like this game. Sacramento in New York. Sacramento, our team, has been on the road for a while. 212 is the total. New York is a 7-point favorite. New York is fully healthy. Of course, Derrick Rose is out, but that's been for a while. Everybody in New York is healthy. It's a good matchup against Sacramento. But again, everybody is healthy, and they're all sort of priced where they should be. I guess Kemba is kind of sort of someone interesting if you want to throw a dart. But really, it's hard to get excited. Randall's another guy in the pool, but whatever. Sacramento, we don't know about Fox. If Fox is in, if Fox is out. We do know Davis is going to be unavailable, as is Marvin Bagley. But sell me on something in this game. I don't think I'm going to get much.
Yeah, I mean, Holmes, I feel like, is the only real viable piece over on the Sacramento side. That's assuming that Fox ends up playing. If Fox is out, I think you still can play Halliburton, even at 8.5K. So it gets a pretty big increase. He has big upside. Probably a little bit too cheap still, especially over on FanDuel. But if Fox is in there, I'm kind of just out on everyone except for maybe a flyer on Holmes, which you're giving up a center Holmes, spot. Though, so, yeah.
Yeah. The problem with Holmes is center is where your value pieces are. And we've seen Holmes sputter for ever since he's dealt with COVID and injuries, and he had an eye. He's just been bad for a while. I know the price is cheaper than we normally see him, but you think tonight's the night where he kind of breaks out. I suppose it's possible, but
I mean, he's fine. He's not a great player, but he's fine.
Yeah, Garland's a better player.
If you don't want to play chalk centers, then go ahead. But
yeah,
I mean,
but
more than likely Drummond.
Yeah, that's sort of my thought process. Spend up, be a little.
I mean, I'm probably just eating the chalk. I'm just giving the people options.
Yeah, I know. I'm not busting your chops here for no particular reason.
Why do I have a hammer on my desk?
Why is there a hammer on your desk? Maybe there is a reason why you should go in the surveillance because we're going to go under. Were you building something earlier today?
I think. I was hanging up blackout curtains behind my green screen because Devin was complaining about the light coming through my window, which is normal complaint, very valid.
It's a good point. I didn't want to say anything, but yeah, it's getting a lot of hand over there. Randall is drawing some ownership on FanDuel, if for no other reason. He's a fine play, getting him 8.3K cheaper. We've seen him basically all season, and also you're going to have the money. You're gonna have.
Well, it's a good matchup. I bet the over on his points of 18.5. He's been so bad recently. It's just the spot. It's good. It's a good spot. Jeremy Grant not listed on the injury report for Tuesday. Nice. Hopefully he gets traded to the Memphis Grizzlies.
Who's this? Oh, Jeremy Grant.
Jeremy Grant.
I mean, yeah. If I'm Detroit, I can get something for him. I can trade him away. He's another guy. Christian Wood's another guy we're talking about possibly getting traded too. What are we 10 days away? The trade deadline,
something like that.
I feel like it's.
I'm looking. I read far too much stuff about the Grizzlies and the Cavs trade rumors, and most of them are just trash.
Are the Grizzlies your favorite de facto team? I suppose. Well, they've
been my favorite team since the Sonics left Seattle.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I used to love Zebo.
Oh yeah. Zach Randolph,
Marc Gasol, Conley. There's one other guy. on that team who I just loved. I don't know. It was one of my favorite teams of all time. I think they lost to OKC in the conference finals that year. It was a sad one for me, even though I probably should root for OKC because Seattle. But now I'm just very angry about that still.
When I was young, I was a Houston Oilers fan, and the Houston Oilers moved to Tennessee, and I pulled the same move you did. Like I didn't go with them, for whatever reason. I didn't become a Titans fan. Just like, I don't like the Titans. I'm fine, and I just never found it. It had to happen organically. It never happened. I didn't really find my own personal Memphis Grizzlies. I just kind of root for players and root for players I wager on, I suppose. But all right, we got anything else in this game? We're moving on.
Moving on.
Speaking of teams that I root for, my Miami Heat are in Boston tonight. 209 is the total. What's interesting here is that not too long ago, the Heat had a bunch of players that were chalk, and I'm curious how ownership is going to change with the new stuff opening up. So not that long ago, like Caleb Martin was looking like a really good play, and Max Strus was. And I'm curious how our ownership is going to reflect that. Again, we'll get a refresh.
I mean, they're still all going to be good plays, but they're still all going to be very good plays. I mean, Hero, Strus, Martin, Bam, like they all should play minutes. They should get a decent enough usage. They're all mispriced because of the fact that Butler's out and that Lowry's out and PJ Tucker's out. Like there's a big usage hole and there's a lot of minutes that have been opened up. So I don't know if I'll get to Vincent anymore.
But you're 7 also out for what it's worth.
Yeah. So everyone's going to play minutes. It's just figuring out which piece you want. I mean, if I had to rank it, it's probably Bam, then Strus, then Hero, then Martin. Probably maybe Hero and Strus when I switch. But like they're going to get the minutes. They're going to eat the usage. It's just how it goes. Like you're trying to figure out who from Miami, who from Philadelphia to play. Like those are the two biggest spots, and then probably who from OKC, hoping that game stays close. But yeah, that's really like your main decisions because someone is going to crush from Philly. Someone probably in addition to Drummond. Someone is going to crush from Miami. Someone is going to probably crush from OKC. So it's figuring out which ones you want to use there.
I think the best play on Miami is Bam Adebayo. Like he's the safest play. And again, you're going to have the salary for it. It's not that tricky. Bam Adebayo on DK, again, the problem is he is center only, which, that's prime real estate tonight. He is FanDuel. On FanDuel, you can play him as a power forward. He's center only on Yahoo. Yahoo, of course, does not have multi-position eligibility. Our ownership stuff does reflect it. They're basically going to play 6 guys, 30-plus minutes. That's what we're kind of looking at. Bam Adebayo, Max Strus, Tyler Hero, Martin, Vincent, and Duncan Robinson, the Spur. So Bam's the best play. That's that. And then as far as Strus, Vincent, Martin, I don't know which one of those guys is going to elevate. I don't know who's even going to start. Maybe we see Hero start. Maybe we don't. A lot of times they like to start him in the second unit, and just when he comes in, he stays in, and that's that. He still plays starters minutes. According to our ownership stuff, and again, this is as of a half hour ago, and stuff might have changed. We got Strus at 15% on FanDuel, Vincent at 12, Martin at 12, Hero at 12. DK, a little bit different story. Strus at 4.2K at 24%. Again, this stuff might change. Hero at 21%, Martin at 17%, Vincent at 11%. Your favorite guy not named Bam on Miami is who?
Hero, probably. Hero with Strus.
And they're facing Boston. Boston will benefit from Miami having their, traditionally good defense weakened with the absence of Tucker, with the absence of Butler. But the tricky part with Boston is they are fully healthy. Like everybody's available. Anybody that plays for Boston is available to play tonight. Of course, you can play Tatum. Of course, you can play Brown in tournaments. You can play Williams as well, too, especially on FanDuel, where he just, if he gets that right night as far as stocks, you get plus 6 or 7 points as opposed to playing on DK. But nobody really stands out for me on Boston. They're just like, if you want to project a ceiling night for Brown or Tatum, sure, it can happen. But I don't think there's anybody you have to play. What say you?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think Tatum is a viable option. He does have a big upside. He's not going to come in too heavily owned. He's a guy that can end up breaking a slate, and you'd have a ton of money to pay up for guys. Like this is an extreme stars and scrubs slate. So I think Tatum is viable. Is he a good play? Probably not. Brown, same thing. Like I don't want Marcus Smart. I don't want Richardson. I want Schroeder. I don't really want anyone else on here. Like you're not getting a ton of upside from any of these guys at their current price tags. So like, again, it's Tatum just taking a shot, hoping he has a massive outing. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think it's one of the three, but Tatum's probably the best. If not Tatum, Brown, if not Brown, Williams, but you don't really need any of them, and ownership's going to reflect that as well. Let's move on. Toronto, Atlanta. This game is at 7:30. Toronto is a 1-point dog at Atlanta. Did you see the triple overtime game this weekend with the Raptors? Nurse played this guy. He's like 55 minutes. He's out of his mind. Yeah. And they're fully healthy tonight. Well, Keinberg still has that nose, so he can't play. As far as the Atlanta side, big one, of course, Trae Young is questionable with the shoulder. Hunter is likely to play. He's probable. But it's like this is two teams that are fully healthy. And I know Toronto side, we're going to get 40 minutes out of some of their dudes, out of their main pieces, but the prices are kind of baked in for that. But, there's tournament stuff here. What are your thoughts as far as this game?
I mean, Van Vliet, Siakam are both fine plays. I mean, they're going to play 40 minutes. We know what they do when they're on the floor. We know that both of them have upside, a decent amount of upside. I mean, Van Vliet can get hot shooting. Like Atlanta's a pretty decent matchup for a point guard, especially if Trae Young ends up playing. I think Van Vliet I have more interest in if Trae Young ends up playing. Siakam is dishing the ball out a ton. He's got decent usage. He's getting a ton of boards. Like both these guys, because of the amount of minutes they play, they have some decent upside. But yeah, like it's pretty much just those two guys. Like, and it's because you have the money to pay for them.
Trying to see if there's anybody. If Trae Young is out, would it be how much is right? I've not checked his price yet, but I just assumed. You went back and witness protection. I'm not sure if you're back with.
Yeah, no, I fixed it.
So, Darrell Wright is 3-4. How much would he play? Would he draw the start if Young is out? Because then he could be pretty interesting at 3.4K, point guard / shooting guard on DK. Do you have an if Young is out thought process? I'm kind of assuming he plays, but who knows?
Yeah, I'm kind of assuming he plays, and he's a viable option if he does end up playing. Again, not great, not the optimal play, but he is a guy that you can play in tournaments just because of massive usage. But if he ends up sitting, I think Bogdanovich, I don't know how many minutes he's going to play, but they could give him a little bit extra run. I know he just came back from whatever it was, and they're being a little careful with him. Like Hunter could end up with Hunter could be in for a little bit more usage. Collins could be in for a bit more usage. Like they're all viable, but this slate is just so dense on good value that's better value than these guys, even without Trae Young in there, that I don't really see myself playing anyone.
So I just ran 150 optimals on DK and on FanDuel. I think our projections are up to date. Of course, this stuff will change with new news coming in. I capped it at 75%, Grant. Nobody getting more than 75% ownership. And on DK, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys hit that threshold. It's
Bruce,
Tobias
Bam, Tobias, Drummond, and who's the fifth?
Josh Giddey. We've not talked about him just yet. No SGA.
Oh, yeah, Giddey.
Yeah, Giddey is going to be super popular tonight. Bam, Harris, Drummond, Isaiah Jackson, by the way, 75%. So we're expecting him to smash tonight. The creative player. Also on FanDuel, he hit the threshold as well. Giddey did also, and Lou Dort hit that threshold as well as Drummond. Yeah, man, it's still some news to be dropped, but it's pretty clear what the quote unquote, like what the obvious chalk pieces are as of right now. We're moving on from Toronto and Atlanta. Not much else to say. Tournament game. If anybody that's like got the ability of FEV or OG or Pascal, it's going to play close to 40 minutes or so. They all can catch a ceiling game, but it's all sort of baked into their price. Does it mean you can't play them tournaments? Of course not. You absolutely can work those guys in there. Golden State and Houston. We have a 230 total, big old number. Awesome matchup here for Golden State, obviously. 11-point favor on the road. Houston, we're not sure about KPJ. He's currently questionable with an illness. Christian Wood expected to play with his migraine. Golden State's without Iguodala and Porter and Draymond Green. Bielitsa, you said, was in or out. Did you say something on him?
Bielitsa's out. Okay,
that's interesting. Well, I mean, somewhat interesting because Golden State just still has like 12 dudes. They have plenty of guys.
We're projecting Kuminga for 30 minutes right now, which is interesting.
If he plays 30 minutes, that's a smash. It's just that those minutes are fragile. I don't I mean, I would bet the under on 30 just because there's still Juan Toscano Anderson lurking. Looney, of course, is there. That's a big old number. Our projection's 30 minutes on him.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to come down.
And we've seen it before where he starts and just gets the hook and never comes back. And Kerr just, I mean, because again, there's plenty of guys in that Golden State side that can grab those minutes. Bielitsa, wait, we have him. I got to refresh because he's currently in for 18. Is that with Kuminga? No, I see 26 for Kuminga. Do I have to hit refresh? I guess I got to refresh.
Yeah, I just hit refresh and got up to 30.
Wow. Okay, we'll talk about Golden State, and I should say Steph Curry, basically the cheapest we've gotten. We've seen him all season long on FanDuel. He's 11K on DK, where he's always been kind of expensive. He's 9.3 on FanDuel, and obviously we know the matchup against Houston's prime. So yeah, and you're gonna have the money. That's the other part. Like in FanDuel, you're gonna have the money for Steph. So like he's gonna be a strong play over there. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean Steph is a pretty solid play. So is Wiggins over on FanDuel. I think both of them are a little bit too cheap. It's a great match. I mean, Houston's one of the worst defensive and one of the fastest paced teams in the entire league. Like both of them should be in for a pretty decent night here, and both of them are too cheap over on FanDuel. Over on DK, Curry's fine. He's not great. I'm worried about the blowout more when you're paying 11K for him. And I think I'd rather go other places. Wiggins is probably still a little bit too cheap. Kuminga, I just don't understand the 30-minute projection, but our projection team knows more than I do when projecting minutes. So
they're looking at something that says 30 minutes. It's just, again, can he play 30? Sure. And he's also a pretty solid fantasy point minute player, 0.94 on DK this season, 0.92 on FanDuel, 4,400 on FanDuel, 4,000 on DK. You got to like that 4,000 price on DK.
Yeah.
He plays 28 minutes. That's good. You get the bump.
If he plays 24 minutes, he can get there.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know, man. I've just been burned by him a couple of times too. And he looks talented. He looks like he passes the eye test, if you want to say that, whatever that's worth. How about the Houston side? I guess, if KPG is out, in theory, somebody should be elevated, but I don't even know if that's the case, especially in this slate where we have enough cheapies. And I don't know if the likes of, Josh Christopher or Amani Brooks.
I mean, Jalen Green would probably be the guy getting the biggest boost.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. He's going to run point a bit more. He's probably going to shoot more. And but I want to pay 4.7K for him on this slate. It just doesn't I think he's probably more viable on Yahoo at $14. But yeah, he's on a different slate. He might be viable. Oh gosh. I just saw the last, what he shot last time we played Golden State, 10 days ago.
I'm guessing it didn't go well.
0 for 11. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, that's the other thing. Golden State, even with all these injuries out, they're still not a bad defensive team. I just don't Wood, Green are both fine if KPJ ends up missing. Neither of them stand out as great plays.
And we're saying KPJ is an interesting play if he does play. And I'm
probably staying away. It's interesting, but it's not a great play.
We have currently nobody projected more than 6% on DK as far as the Houston side. And I'm checking FanDuel now as well. We do have 12% for Porter if he goes, 6.2 over there. This is fine. Again, I don't need it, but he's fine. I'm not going to say he can't do it in tournaments. They were making fun of me there in the Discord channel because I did not hit the refresh button. My bad. Do you guys
You're easy to make fun of. Thank you for that. You're easy to make fun of. Thank you for that.
Well, I mean, why would you want the low-hanging fruit?
Yeah,
well, I mean, be a little bit more ambitious, Grant. Hey, have you dropped your player props in the live stream chat? Sometimes we do that, and that entices people to go ahead and see. Go ahead and drop it for the people. And where are you putting that? People on YouTube are like, why can't we chat with these fellows? Well, you got to hit the like button. You got to subscribe. You got to turn on notifications. Actually, you don't have to do that. What do you have? We'd appreciate it. It'd be cool. It's nice. I see you like Andre Drummond tonight. There it is. I see your stuff just went ahead and dropped in there. And Wiggins, you like Wiggins over 17.5 points. All-star starter, Andrew Wiggins. Well, he's been good this year. I know he's a guy that's
he's not an all-star star. Make an all-star team. Yeah, that's fine. All-star starter? No.
Well, I think the tricky part is forwards in the Western Conference, like the way they had it set up, like there wasn't a lot of other guys to pick from. I think that was part of it too. I don't know if you were looking at the other options, but yeah, jump over to the Discord channel, Discord, rotogrinders.com/Discord. What channel in the Discord channel? It is the live stream chat channel. It's not a premium channel. Anyone you just want to come in here and hang out. And I know we've been giving away like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, free 1 week passes, all for everything, not just basketball, but NASCAR, which is around the corner. Nope, not NASCAR. Why would I say NASCAR? Nope, not NASCAR. But every other sport you can think of, hockey, golf, the Super Bowl content, baseball, of course, that'll be more than a week away. But you know what I'm saying? You get 1 week free of RG Premium. Producer Devin is lurking, and I think he's going to pull somebody today and give them 1 week free of RG Premium just for joining the conversation. Rotogrinders.com/Discord, the live stream chat channel. What else did I want to talk about? Am I done with this? Is there anything else we should say here, or shall I move on?
Now let's move on.
The last game of the evening, the hammer game, that is Portland and OKC. 215.5 is the total. OKC is a 4-point dog here. We've kind of alluded to it already as far as OKC. They're without SGA, which is a big deal because when he doesn't play, Josh Giddey goes nuts. His price on FanDuel is absurd. He's a good play on DK as well. Isaiah Roby expected out. Derek Favors not in the injury reports. We're assuming he's going to play. And apparently Pokuševski, that is, and JRE will be at least available. As far as the Portland side, they are without Little, essentially for the season. Nance, Lillard, and Ellaby. Good matchup for Simons, McCollum, and Nurkic as well. If you want to be different as far as spending differently at center position, it's a good matchup, and people just aren't going to play him because, well, we kind of talked about that already. But what are your thoughts as far as Portland OKC? We still have 10 minutes to talk about this game, and whatever questions you guys have in chat, whatever you want us to elaborate on, if you're thinking about this guy or that guy on FanDuel or DK, give us the details. Let us know if it's for a single entry contest, mass multi-entry, cash games, all that. We're happy to answer those, or even player props, whatever's in your mind. We will knock those out in about, after we finish this game. We're sticking around the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, Portland, Powell, Nurk, McCollum, and Simons are all kind of in play. They're not great plays. I mean, it's just kind of a spot where there's enough other good value on the slate where none of them really make them. I mean, it's a good matchup going up against OKC. I am worried about the potential blowout, but the volume has been there, especially for McCollum recently. He's been shooting quite a bit. He's probably my preferred play. Still a little bit too cheap at 7.6K over on DK and too cheap at 7.8K over on FanDuel. But none of these guys stand out as great plays on the slate. So you're kind of just taking tournament flyers, and it's not like they're going to come in super low on. And Fox, is that where are you at, Sacramento? Where are you at, Sacramento? And you make bet.
What are you trying to bet now with Halliburton?
Halliburton, yeah.
Who's been on fire, obviously.
It's off the board.
So earlier today, there was some fragility, but I was looking at players in OKC like Ty Jerome and Trey Mann and Kenrich Williams, and they're all going to play somewhere like in the mid-20s in theory, and they're all sort of fine plays with the absence of SGA. I don't know how much I need them now, is this sort of what I'm getting at. One of them's probably going to still get there. Lou Dort is a fine play as well in the mid-tier. All these guys get bumps in the absence of SGA, and I talk about FanDuel specifically. Giddey is 5.7 over there, which is just an absurd price. Considering how much usage he's going to suck up with the absence of Alexander. So he's going to get 49% ownership on FanDuel. That is a monster number. Dort at 26%. And then like Mann and Williams and Jerome are somewhere in the teens. And on DK, same kind of deal. Well, Giddey, to lesser extent, 23%. He's got a bigger price at 7.3, but should still, in theory, looks like a pretty good math play as is. Nice matchup against Portland. Nice little game stack, I should say. And then Dort's at 18%, Kenrich at 11%. As far as the Portland side, your favorite Blazer this evening would be who?
McCollum.
Yeah. Simons is a little bit cheaper, so I think I might like him, but I'm good on both of them. Who does Dort play? The Dort's or Chamber? Who's he covering? Probably McCollum.
My guess is probably McCollum, but I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, with any one of Powell, McCollum, or Simons.
I do think Nurkic is really interesting for tournaments. We've talked about a lot of centers tonight, a lot of cheap centers too. That's just like one quick way to get a different lineup that's not like bad. Like Nurkic is still a good play. It might keep you from one of those, punt centers. It's even tougher, obviously, on FanDuel, just because, the reasons why we laid out. DK, you have more flexibility. Anything else to say as far as this game, or shall we talk about some questions from chat, whatever's on chat's mind? We got 5 minutes.
Let's go to the chat.
What up, chat? How many 76ers is too many 76ers?
Probably anything over 3.
And let's just run it back. We got time. Your 3 favorite, I guess Andre Drummond's number 1. He's got the gold medal, right?
Yeah.
Your second favorite Sixer, is it Maxey or is it Harris or is it Curry? That's probably where it stops.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite is Drummond, Maxey, Harris. No, probably Drummond, Harris, Maxey, then Curry.
But do you feel like if you're playing three guys in Philadelphia, do you feel like you have to run it back with somebody on Memphis?
I don't think you need to, but if you do, Desmond Bane.
Just looking at the ownership stuff. Yeah, Drummond still at 61%, Harris at 29%, then Curry and Maxey in the teens. I like Maxey at 13% if that holds.
Yeah.
I think that's too low for, again, he's the guy that could play. We're projecting 38 minutes, which is just weird to give guys projections, outside of Toronto that many minutes, but that's what we've seen when Embiid hasn't gone. We know they're thin with Furkan as well too. Memphis side, the biggest number there. See, nobody on Memphis has a ownership above 10%. We have Morant at 9.99% on DK. And we've kind of talked about how, look, he's obviously Morant. He's been awesome. He's been on fire, but yeah, right. Our minutes projections down to 34 on Ja, which that matters. Those 3 minutes matter.
Doesn't mean, he's still a good play.
Drummond, Hartenstein, double lock. That's the question. You know what? I'm curious what we've done with Hartenstein. I didn't get a chance to walk it back as far as the Clippers. Hartenstein not starting. What are we doing as far as our minutes? We like Drummond. Talk to me about Hartenstein. I'll pull it up and I'll tell you where we're at. We're still only projecting 18 minutes for him. Man, that's rough. What are we projecting for? We got 22 for Ibaka because they have so many bodies. I guess it's Hartenstein 18. We have Winslow at 16. And also this game could go smaller because Indiana has no bigs, right? All their bigs are hurt. So maybe this game just goes smaller is our thought process. And the Clippers still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guys projected in the rotation and all of them playing at least 16 minutes. Am I boring you? You're yawning over there.
You are boring me.
What do you want to talk about instead?
Well, I don't know. You never asked me a question. You just chatted on with yourself.
I asked you about Hartenstein.
Oh, well, yeah, that was so long ago. You were talking for so long. Hartenstein's fine. Like him and Isaiah Jackson, Drummond, like all of them. You can play multiple of them in any lineup and it's fine. But if I'm ranking centers on the slate, Hartenstein's probably 3 after Drummond and Bam.
I mean, in my head, I feel like we're a little soft on those Hartenstein minutes, and maybe he just plays 18. Maybe I would guess somewhere around 20 or so. But
it's the Clippers. Can you ever trust any rotation they ever have?
Yeah, but if you're going to put a median projection on it, but you're right. I never feel confident in projecting the Clippers. Certainly not on the
Darius Garland ruled out.
Okay, so yeah, I mean Rondo. I think we're going to play Rondo at 3K on DK. I think that's what we're doing.
So we're making a bet.
Like he's going to play like 24 minutes, right? He probably chops it with Goodwin, basically. I'll see what our projection team does. But
Jetty is going to start for Garland. Jetty's interesting now. I'm not surprised they're going to have him run point a little bit.
Wait, Jetty's. It's not going to be Rondo. It's Jetty.
Yeah.
So Jetty, Okoro, Wade, Mobley, Allen.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like Jetty becomes a super interesting play now.
How much is Jetty?
Like 4.3, if I remember correctly.
4.2. He's 4.2 on DK, 3.7 on FanDuel. Woof.
Yeah, whenever he runs point, he does work.
Interesting. I want to do a quick. Do we have time to do a quick little court IQ here? If you have a second, while I pull up this next question, fire up a. Well, I got a second. I'll look at it. Just going to sort of see what changes. Question mark Tony Allen. What is Tony Allen in the league? He's not in the league, right? Oh, that was the guy. Tony Allen was the guy, the 4th player on Memphis that you liked. You couldn't. Grant, are you hearing what I'm saying here?
Yeah, I'm just Don't have anything else to say back to you.
Do you remember you were saying before Tony? You were a big Memphis fan? You liked Zebo and you liked that. Yeah. Was Tony Allen the fourth guy that you liked?
I don't know. When it was 2011 Memphis Grizzlies roster. Who was it?
By the way, shout out to Justin Mundry. Justin Mundry, you just won 1 week free of RG Premium for hanging out in.
Oh, it was Rudy Gay.
That was the guy?
Yeah, Rudy Gay was good.
Yeah, he was solid. Lottery pick, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah.
And they're asking me if I liked Warren Moon back in the day. Yeah, man, I love Warren Moon and the Houston Oilers. And Warren Moon had the 4 receivers: Hayward Jeffries, Curtis Duncan, Ernest Gibbons, and who's the fourth guy? I can't remember. Wycheck was the tight end. Yeah, it's good. It's a good little team. All right. I'm trying to see if we kick off Cleveland. That's what I wanted to pull up. Do this before we step aside and get out of here and make way for crunch time. If we have a second, I want to kick off Garland, and I want to kick off Garland. Let's see if anything changes as far as assist rates. Does Jetty Osman, does he pop a little bit?
I don't think it really matters because he's generally not running point without Garland. It's always been It's always been Rondo or Rubio or Sexton. So you can't really go off of that when he hasn't been running point on all these minutes pretty much the entire season, outside of I think one game where they had a lot of injuries. So it's not really accurate to look at court IQ for Jetty.
Oh, I should kick off Rubio too. Yeah, gee, what's a mess?
Yeah, kick off Rubio, kick off Sexton, kick off Rondo, and then run it. You'll see probably not a massive sample size.
Yeah, Jetty Osman, 255 minutes without Rondo, Sexton, and Garland, and he gets a boost in his assist rate at 0.82 and a usage of 1.4% as well. But yeah, he looks like a decent play. Check on the projections later. Or watch Crunch Time with Andy Means and Kevin Roth, Chief Mineralogist on Rotogrinders.com. If you guys are premium members, Justin, you just won yourself 1 week free. So you can go ahead and check out that show on RG. Rotogrinders.com. Grant, give me a final thought before we step aside and make way for Crunch Time.
Play chalk, eat chalk.
Oh, yeah. The chalk's pretty good, right?
Yeah, like just figure out which chalk to go with. Like, you don't have to eat the biggest chalk outside of Drummond, but you have to eat some. You're going to need to eat some chalk today.
All right. Oh, I'm being told on Twitter that Drew Hill and Wycheck was much later on the Super Bowl Titans team. Wait, were they on the? Wait, I don't recall. Were they on the Titans? I don't remember.
We got to get out of here.
We got to go. Do appreciate Devin and Eli producing the show. Eli producing the show. Devin for pulling some names there in the Discord channel. Grant and his hammer. They appreciate you as well for watching us. Hit the like button or smash the button. How would you smash the like button, Grant, with your hammer?
Hammer it. Hammer the like button.
Hammer the like button. That's the show. Stay tuned for Crunch Time, Rotogrinders.com. That was basketball. I was Dean. We're out of here. Hold. Hammer time.